got some college scholarships and stuff coming up.
For football.
Football, yeah.
Is that one working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay.
Maybe that's the problem.
Zach, last place you saw God.
I see him everywhere, because when I ride that motorcycle, he's always there with me, helping me stay out of wreck and stuff.
Okay. Ty Pickens, you know it's coming to you next.
Yeah.
Say a day, yesterday, and a couple weeks ago when my name passed.
Okay. Now, one of the places I know for sure God was last night when we went out to eat.
Yeah.
God was definitely in there. Saw several youth leaders there. A lot of kids there that were there to support Guthrie tennis. Anybody like bracelets? Come on down.
Those
I was
are
there.
friendship bracelets. Homemade and from Guatemala.
These were made in Guatemala.
I don't want somebody.
Take your pick.
I like to put this on.
Hey, if anything blue, man. Oh, purple.
You're gonna have to have somebody tie it.
I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Miss Sherry.
You're welcome.
I'm sure Bill will tie those. Yeah. You want pink? Red. All right.
You want me tied on these two?
Brody, you need two. Hey, here's two the same color. Two gold ones. You look like you're in the,
I don't know.
you look like you're
One
in
at a time.
the most spirit. Yeah, those gold ones.
Like,
Last place you saw God, Brody. When your grandma passed away. Okay. What do you think? Last place you saw God. Your grandfather passed away. Okay. Cody, last place you saw God
Today,
today.
Buddy Carson's been having real bad hip problems
Mm-hmm.
for 4 years. He's been trying to get them fixed, and he got one fixed today.
Awesome.
Had surgery.
Amazing. All right.
You forgot to.
Hinton, we'll start with you. We'll go around this way.
when I saw God.
When I saw God, okay. What do you think?
A couple days ago, I think we had a little bit of counseling.
Okay. Did he change some things for you? Good.
Gave me some more options.
Okay. What do you think? Did he put a hedge of protection around you?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Kyle?
I see God every day. I see what miracles with a lot of people.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, I saw your dad, here it's been about a week or 10 days ago, that coldest day that we had, he's out there directing traffic. Somebody crashed into the light pole right there at Homeland.
Yeah, I told you about that.
He was out there in the freezing. And it's funny because Todd mentioned something, and then I seen him up there like a little bit later. It was amazing. I don't know how he can stand out there with. I just started praying for him the second that I saw him there. That's really all you can do. I mean, pray that God puts a hedge of protection around him and keeps him warm.
When I was in my car accident,
You're in your car accident.
it saved my life.
Okay.
People else would.
Sierra?
One of my friends from school, her grandpa just passed away. She's been pretty upset, but
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay. Molly?
When my granny died.
Okay. God's in all of those places. He comes there to meet people. You think sometimes people are ready to meet him?
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Huh?
Hopefully they are.
Hopefully, but not all the time. particular stories that you can think of in here where God was there when he was needed?
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah and the whale. Wow. Who's got faith enough to jump out in the middle of the ocean and keep it to save all your other friends? Or actually not even friends, by then they worked as enemies.
I do it. I'm a lifeguard.
Okay, you do it, you were a lifeguard,
I am a lifeguard.
Certified.
okay.
CPR. First aid. Kill it.
Now, how about riding around in the belly of that stinking old whale?
Good dude.
I bet it smelled like ice cream.
You think it smelled like ice cream for you?
That was like a random.
Okay, Kyle, you think it smelled like ice cream for him in there?
It probably stinks.
I figured,
Might find Pinocchio.
you could be right, Cody, because God saved him. You could be right, it could smell like ice cream for him in there. But I figured it stunk, so it would remind him to do what God said the first time instead of having to. Because where did the fish spit him up at? Where God told him to go in the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any place else in here where?
I don't know what it's called, but that battle they were in, he had to hold up his staff. And they
Oh.
won. I don't know what that's called.
Okay, yeah, that was, you talking about Moses, and there was a plague going on, and God told him to hold up his staff and it would end?
Yeah, and they were winning, and like every time I brought it down, they started to lose.
Oh, okay, now, yeah, that was, yeah, that's a totally different deal. Now, Brody? The burning bush. Wow. Who would freak out if God started talking to you through a bush? You know, I'm like you, Molly. I'd be a little bit freaked out. I'd be
Heard
going,
worse coming from a bush.
That bush is talking to me.
I'd go,
What did I eat?
oh, wow.
I can deal with the talking.
I must have had a bad cheeseburger because I'm having a hallucination. I can agree with that. Other places that God showed up. Several times, and this was funny because I was reading to Jake on Monday about Elijah and Elisha, and he rolled up his coat and he touched the water, and the waters of the Jordan River parted so they could walk across it. Now, they were brothers, and one of them had tricked the other one and taken his inheritance from him. So they've been really mad at each other. And so they knew that they needed to go back. Elijah knew that he needed to go back and ask for forgiveness. And when he went back, this is kind of crazy. When he went back, he told his brother, he said, I tell you what, if you see me leave this earth, you'll get your inheritance back. And a chariot of fire came rolling out of the sky and took him to heaven. Can you imagine that? Wow, I mean, the first time I saw the chariot of fire, I never really thought about being God. I thought about, wow, he messed up so bad, God let the devil come get him. But it was a chariot of fire that took him to heaven. But took him to heaven because he'd asked forgiveness. All right? Any place you can think of in the Bible where God showed up at the right time?
Like I said, like when he rose the Red Sea, and then
Oh, parting the Red Sea.
everybody got through it, and then as the other people got through it, they closed it so they
wonder what it would be like if God parted the ocean, Brody, and we could walk through there. What it'd look like to see those fish.
Or to walk on the bottom of the ocean, it's like.
Oh, yeah, walk on the
You walk
bottom
like
of
10
the
feet
ocean.
out.
Free dinner.
Zach sees free dinner. You know what's amazing? Those poor Israelites didn't pick up any fish and take with them.
Yeah,
For
I
food.
would.
Because they get through the other side, and then they get mad at Moses, and they're going, dude, we didn't bring enough food along for this camping trip.
Well, he camped for 40 years, so they couldn't.
Hey, yeah, there's no way. Yeah, but did they know they were going to camp for 40 years?
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Now, and that brings up another spot in Moses' life. They were out of food, and what happened? He brought the manna. Now, somebody asked me one time what it was. And I would like to explain this. Who likes angel food cake? Pretty tasty. Oh yeah, with chocolate on top, whipped cream, strawberries,
Chocolate cake.
peaches. You don't like it at all?
Not really.
Not really? But wouldn't it be tastier than starvation?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Now, God was telling Moses, he said, you tell the people, eat all they want. I will bring you some more tomorrow. So he tells them, and what do some of the ladies do? Does anybody remember what the
They
ladies
took
did?
some of it and tried to save it.
And what happened?
It like turned to like rot.
Yeah, just rotted right in their bags. Rotted right inside their bag. But I've always felt like, without ever knowing or being able to ask God or have Jesus tell me, I've always felt like he was sending them angel food cake. Sweet bread from heaven is what it was. Angel food cake, that's how angel food cake tastes. Sweet bread from heaven. All right, someplace else where God just showed up at the right time. Dalton?
David and Goliath.
David and Goliath. Wow. What was it that David said before he went into battle? Anybody remember? He said, today I will give the Lord his enemy. I will hand him over to you. Now, this is one of my favorite children's stories in the Bible to tell. Who remembers how he killed Goliath?
With the stone.
The slingshot.
slingshot?
Slingshot.
With a little slingshot and a rock. Okay? Huh? Huh?
Didn't he cut his head off?
He did cut his head off
With his own sword.
with his own sword.
Pretty sure he like
With Goliath's own sword. Now, did anybody realize that he went to the river and picked up 5 rocks?
and they were all real smooth.
All real smooth rocks. We think he had the other 4 rocks for
His brothers.
his brothers. Now, all of his brothers were bigger than he was. But when they saw this little shepherd boy kill their big brother, they ran in fear. Here David is, a little boy, 9 years old, goes out there, and he tells Saul, the king of the army, he's like, dude, he's like, I don't know why you're letting this guy mock our God. Well, Saul didn't actually know our God, for starters. Then, the amazing thing was, Saul goes, I'm going to give you my sword and my helmet, go fight him. Well, a sword and a helmet for a grown man weighted him down. He's like, I'm gonna fight the way unknown. He's like, I killed a lion that was trying to eat my pop's sheep. I killed a bear that was also trying to get in the sheep. I'll take the weapon that I know how to use. Now, what really burned some of the people in the army, David had just went up there to deliver his brother's cheese and bread, so they'd have sandwiches for the battle. And they were all scared of him. He'd walk out there, big old gruff giant guy, mock them every day. I hate you, I hate your God stinks, he sucks. No one will fight me. Y'all are scared, y'all are a bunch of big fraidy cats.
Yellow belly.
But, huh?
Said yellow belly.
There you go. And he was calling them straight to their face. Y'all are yellow chickens. You got a yellow stripe down your back. And the second that David saw it, it angered him. He said, I'm not letting anybody do my God that way. No one. Not letting you do that. I'll fight you. Wow. All right. Other places in the Bible where God showed up at the right time.
The guy with the long hair, I'm not really sure his name.
Samson.
Relax
Samson.
his hair.
Okay. All right. In the story of Samson, I love this story because Samson was a Nazarite, and Nazarites love the Lord. And Samson was special, and even his mother knew before he was born that he should never cut his hair. You tell his child, don't ever cut his hair because that's where his strength lies. Now, the amazing part was Samson was a really wise guy. He only had one problem. He met a girl, and he thought she was gorgeous, and he told his dad, go get her for me. Now, how did that work out for him? Pretty badly, it sure did. Because she was a bad girl, wasn't she? And not only was she a bad girl, she sold him out to her own tribe.
What a wanker.
And she, huh?
I said, what a wanker.
Yeah, bad news. She was bad news bears. Now, for several nights, she would ask him where his strength was, and he'd make up something, and then she'd try it, and then whenever her friends rushed in to capture him, he'd kill them. Straight up, man. Every time. But the last time, he told her the truth. And he didn't think she'd tell him, and she did, and boom. And they came in and they gouged out his eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine having your eyes gouged out?
It's like Saw 5 all over again.
Wow.
And then he rocks
And so, yeah, right, Kyle. He was right before his enemies, and they were going to mock him, even though he couldn't see. And they put him on a grinder wheel, walking round and round in circles, pushing this big old wheel, grinding their corn. Now, don't you think that would make the man strong? Absolutely. And his hair had begun to grow back. And one day they were going to put him in the midst of all of their people. I think there was about 5,000 men, it said. Or maybe it's 25,000. I forget the number now. Inside a temple. And he asked the Lord, he said, Lord, give me one strength. And there was a little boy leading him in there, and he said, "Get me up close to the pillars of the side of the building." And he pushed on those pillars, and he took the roof down on top of all of God's enemies. Now, the thing that made Samson strong, I didn't think it was always his hair. I thought it was the Lord. And I thought the Lord used him to protect his people. Now, he wasn't just being a malicious guy that was just walking around killing people. He was a guy that was taking out God's enemies. And that's just what he did. All right, another place where God just showed up at the right time.
Was, when that one guy, he was like persecuting all the Jews, and or wait, no. No, it'd be like, I think his name was like Saul.
Saul,
Yeah,
okay,
and God redeemed him.
okay, that's a great thing. Because if you realize Saul became the Apostle Paul, he had actually murdered Christians. And he was going down Damascus Road, and God blinded him. There's like fish scales over his eyes. Now, here's somebody that had not known God before. If you had loved God, he persecuted you. And as amazing as that sounds, for God to do this to him, the first thing he says is it you, my Lord? Here's somebody that had never believed in God before. He said, is it you, my Lord? Can you imagine that? That'd be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? Now, go to a house in town, wait until I send somebody there, and he sends Ananias. And when Ananias comes in, what happened? You could see again, too.
Oh,
He was healed. Now, let's switch from God to Jesus. Are there some places where the lepers, the 10 lepers, now, there's a whole bunch of dudes that have a dreaded disease called leprosy, and your skin will literally fall off. Armadillos. Armadillos are one of the last things left alive that still have leprosy.
I haven't caught it yet.
Yeah. Still have leprosy. So he heals these guys, and he says, go tell people what happened. Anybody remember what happened? One of the 10 guys jumped up and leaped up and went and started telling people. What about the other 9?
They just kept going, never stopped.
Kept on going, never stopped. Now, there were people that didn't believe him. People that did not believe that it was him. Because they remembered him being out there and being a leper. But he went and did the right thing. Now, other places, Jesus just showed up at the right place at the right time. Sierra?
2 answers gonna be this week.
Any place Jesus showed up at the right place at the right time?
Jesus said come ready for this or
Fish and bread.
no?
Okay.
There were like 4 people on the line.
Pretty good place to show up because one little guy had
2 loaves of bread.
2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. They had 12 baskets of leftovers. Now, not only did the Lord show up, Jesus Christ, but God showed up because he asked God to bless the food. 5,000 men, include their children and their wives. Some of them had to have wives and children, so we're talking about they probably fed 20 to 25,000. Average family back then was 3. So that's a lot of folks. It's a lot of folks to feed, and they had leftovers. Now, were there some people there that doubted the Lord? His own disciples doubted him. He's like, we need to send these dudes away while they still have strength to go find food. He's like, feed them. Like, well, we ain't got any money to go do that. Are you kidding me? We're with God. We're with God. Now, even godly men have doubt. Now, who remembers watching Willie and Jace have a burger making contest?
They're both terrible.
Now,
I haven't seen that.
both
I haven't seen that
terrible. Now, was there some doubt, you think, that caused that?
Yeah.
I think doubt caused failure for both of them. I think because they had doubt, neither one of them could win. Now, what does it take to win? The will, all right? What's some things it takes to win?
Talent.
Believe. You gotta believe.
Just like whenever you were telling us about the Sonic story about your buddy almost getting jumps,
Yeah.
you didn't know if you knew you were going to win, but something like that.
If you're right, you win.
Yeah. If you're fighting for the right reason, then you win.
If you're doing the right thing, you'll win. Now, did I know that and funny you should bring up that story. Did I know that I would one day be going to church with that guy? Oh, no. Did it bug me for a few seconds that him and I had been, I won't say enemies, but disliked each other? No, it never even bugged me that him and I disliked each other. And I will tell you, Ty, if it had been Billy, I got up there and fought with Billy. I wouldn't have let him pick on. If it was just Billy, they were going to take on Billy. I wouldn't have let him. I wouldn't have let him. It wouldn't have made any difference who it was. I'd have stood up there with him. Yeah. Something about me is kind of like when how many of you have seen True Grit? You think, yeah. You think 4-on-1's a dog fall?
Yeah.
He goes, in 5 minutes, I'm gonna kill you. He said, the other guys, I don't have anything on you today. And they're all gonna take him on. Whoever's back his Winchester in one hand and his pistol in the other, and he rides into him, doesn't he? Now, did you ever doubt that he would win? Shucks, huh? I never really doubted that John Wayne would win. I was sure upset when they shot his horse out from under him. That kind of,
That chick lost her arm.
oh yeah,
Tried to save her and he picked his gun.
yeah.
She's gonna be saved.
Now, going on to that part, what do you think really saved her?
God's will.
God's will. Now, that brings on something amazing. Most of us know about Amanda Westenmeyer, but her dad's one of the greatest EMTs that ever walked the face of the earth.
I actually have her buckle on.
There you go.
They sponsored his uncle at the COG already.
Yeah. and they sponsor to send kids to Camp of Champions.
That's a
They
cool
do great
camp.
things because of her. But Greg had all the skill in the world. But he knew that God had called her home before she hit the ground. Doctors, nurses, EMTs, first responders can know all the tricks in the book. They only save somebody if it is God's will. Now, let me ask y'all another question. Do y'all think that, and I want to think about how I want to word this, that there's always an opportunity to ask God into your heart?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay? Now, there was a story that I heard a coach tell. This was a coach of the Denver Broncos back about, I think it's about 8 or 10 years ago, where they're old coaches. And he used to teach a program called Sharing Jesus Without Fear. And he left to go home from practice, and his wife was waiting on him. And he got in his car to take the short route home, and God said, I want you to go the other way. And he said, God, that's the long way around. He said, that's how I want you to go. And he sees an explosion up ahead of him. And when he gets there, he's the first responder. And he pulls the guy from the rubble.